What's up, C4SVillains fans? How you guys doing? It's another show today, and this is episode 58. And as your host, Legend D Vash as myself, and I have two lovely gentlemen here. Is as always your co-host, Scuba Steve, and down below we have our lovely guest from Black Anime Podcast, and not Aaron, is Aaron himself. How are we all doing here today on tonight?
I'm doing good, man. I'm feeling real good. Ron, how you feeling?
Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yo, you know what's crazy? Like this new mic, there's a mute button on the bottom. I didn't even touch it and it turned off, like it turned on. Like it's just I feel amazing. I feel great. I'm just saying that. I feel good. All right.
It feels good to be professional podcasters out here, you know. We're doing our best to evolve, you know, get better at what we do. So I'm glad to hear that.
Got my
You already know.
So for the rundown for people to know on the show, we have news topics that Warner Bros. NDC, Ezra Miller type of situation, Jeridel and his type of method acting, and Moon Knight episode 2 review at the end. That's what we have for today. But also for announcements for people that don't know, if you have not seen Sonic 2 yet, there's a non-spoiler review from James himself. Go check it out. It's on the channel already. And also, if you haven't seen the podcast, you gotta see this episode 5. The Morbius review is now available on all podcast platforms as well. So go check this out. Give a review. Subscribe if you haven't to the C4S channel. We are 525 subscribers, so continue helping us and supporting us. We appreciate that. But let's get straight to the news. So let's get straight to what's going on, because a lot of things have been going on this week. So Warner Bros. NDC executives had a emergency meeting to discuss Ezra Miller's future with the studio and with what's going on with all the news reports that came out this past couple of weeks. How are we feeling about that, gentlemen?
Hey, Ezra Miller never should have been the Flash in the first place, so it's fine with me. I'm gonna just keep it G. I mean, who honestly, besides the Snyder cult, like besides people who are actually insane, right? Who actually thought Ezra Miller was a good Flash? I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna just who's out here capping for that man? I'm just
my Barry Allen, my dream Barry Allen was always John Krasinski, but the thing is, John Krasinski.
That's an interesting Flash pick,
right?
That's very interesting. I would have never like. He's always Mr. Fantastic or something like that. No one's ever calling that man the Flash.
Nobody has called him, but that was my dream thing. I was like, I would like him to be Barry because he's funny. He's got the witty liners and everything like that. I just thought that he would be a good Barry Allen. I know Barry Allen is supposed to be, younger because John Krasinski is a little old, but I thought he was
great.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, they got all these 67-year-old people playing 30-year-old people, so I mean, why not?
Don't remind me, Jesus. I'm so glad Robert Pattinson became Batman and we didn't get another Batman that was 80 years old. Please,
Man, I'm
old Batman.
I love Robert and what he's doing, so it's just good. Ben Affleck as well. I'm glad they did old Batman, not try to make him look young. So I'm glad about that. But to pick it back to what Steve said, like with Ezra Miller, I'm not hyped. He does great scenes from what we did last year. From what we saw last year, for what he portrayed. That scene, the Flash scene, from him going back to Speed Force, is beautiful. But Grant Gustin, he could have done that too. All the special effects, it's just all involved about the acting. And it sucks to see all these type of celebrities having these type of dark secrets and everything. Like, everyone has dark secrets.
But Ezra's wasn't really a dark secret. I mean, we talk about these Hawaii instances that just happened, but he's always been getting in trouble. This man has been a magnet for trouble, and they decided to stick with him. And now, since it's hitting the fan and people starting to find out, because remember, this Hawaii incident is not new. This is an old incident. This is old. This man has been with the shits, and it's like, so like y'all still gonna keep employing him. And it was like, WB had a decision to make, and per usual, when it comes to DC, they said we're just gonna keep making the wrong ones. So I mean, it's like there's nothing we could do about it.
I'm happy with what Warner Brothers / with DC they're doing, because they're actually having a meeting about it. Because with Disney, with what they did a couple years ago with James Gunn, they just chose to fire him and not have a meeting that we don't know of, as us publicly, us the fans and audience, that we don't know of.
Meeting.
Correct. Yeah, like
they trying to say it to make y'all feel good.
Oh yeah, of course. It's what they're telling the public audience. But from what we see as face value, from what we know from the news reports and articles, that I'm glad they're at least having some type of meeting to know about said type of situation. So this is at least a good thing about the aspect of face value wise, that they're at least having some type of consideration. Like, hey, should we still work with him? Should we try to be done with this film of the Flashpoint and after that move on? Should we see what we go next? Like, all right, cool. Grant Gustin's story. Ezra Miller's story as the Flash, as Barry's done. Let's move on to Wally. I'm fine with that. If they wanna move on after Flashpoint, after that film, and they change the timeline, and you know what happened in the comics with Wally being always the one that's being gone, disappearing in the movie, fuck it. We have Barry, we have Barry, the one being gone with the lightning.
Oh no!
And then we have Wally.
You can get the Wally stands creaming their pants with that take. Don't say that now. The Wally stands, they be like, they never give my boy Wally time to shine. They never give him time to shine.
Yo, they threw him a lot of shade in the TV Flash. I think it was the season 3 and 4, and then after that, they brought him to Legends. So like, if they could do good stuff in the TV version, how about let's just bring him. I
don't know, man. They killed him off on Young Justice. They killed him off on Young Justice stuff.
We don't know yet. There's some things going on with season 4. We still
don't know. That nigga gone.
And also,
it's been
hold
2
up.
That
You
gone.
have read the comics. You know when a speedster is gone, they're never gone. They can come back 20 years later.
If they was gonna have that man come back, they should have been had that man come back. By now, he gonna come back.
Wally in the comics came.
They can be like, who is this nigga? Who is this nigga?
Wally came back in the comics 10 years later of our time. If he could come back 10 years later in our time, he could still come back in the TV show
they got
10 years later.
Justice Hall of Fame.
Exactly. You right. There's a lot of niggas in the Hall of Shrine we ain't never met before. I'm gonna be real.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, so you saying that they ain't gonna know who he is?
Y'all get what I mean. Y'all get.
And also,
the kids gonna see a plaque and they gonna remember that. Come on now.
And our boy Superboy. He supposedly what happened in the beginning and now part 2.
Yeah, with the way that they was time traveling.
So hey,
watch this season?
I've not caught up on a new one yet.
All right, so I'm gonna just stay shut then. I'm gonna just stay shut.
The one that I like the binge. The one that just dropped, I haven't caught up on it yet. I have watched some of Phantoms. I have watched like the first part of Phantoms.
Oh yeah.
So I know like the characters that's involved. I know kind of what's going on, but I haven't watched like the last 4 episodes. I think.
Yeah, it's been 4 because they dropped 3. Yeah. No, wait, they dropped. Did they drop 3 or 2?
They dropped today. Was Thursday, so now it should be 4 now.
Oh, okay, so
yeah. I haven't watched the last 4 episodes. I'm probably gonna watch them sometime next week or something. But
yeah, same here.
But yeah.
But overall, are we just waiting to look forward with what's gonna happen with Ezra Miller and his future? Because Flashpoint has been going a lot of problems with directors and our actors. Are we just seeing how it goes within the next few months, or do we just not really care about him as an actor to see what comes next?
I don't care about him as an actor, I guess, because of all of this per se. But at the same time, I do want to see this movie. I mean, at this point, you've hyped it up and all this other stuff. But the thing is, they've postponed a lot of other movies from another actor, what he did. And I don't think, I mean, I guess it is egregious. So it's apples to oranges, but this is just as bad, if not worse, than what Will Smith just did.
This is worse than what Will Smith did because this is past actions following up, to future consequences, and it's things that the studio knew about it. Like Will Smith walking up and smacking Chris Rock, that was bad. That's bad. Yeah. Everybody knows it's bad. It's factually bad. However, it's one instance of Will Smith doing something versus someone who has a pattern. All right, pattern of also it's not something that's hidden. It's in the news. 5 years ago, we was like, man, Ezra Miller a little crazy, right? When the first Justice League dropped, and then now it's like it's coming out now, and it's like, so for me, I as an actor, I don't think, besides Justice League, I don't think I've seen him in anything, so I can't really say like, oh, I love his work, because I haven't seen him in anything.
Yeah, of
and
course.
then and then within the Justice League Flash, I mean, at this point, the DCEU doesn't really exist. So I mean, it's like, until we see Black Adam and see if they actually really try to connect everything, or is everything just going to be standalones now? Which I'm okay with, until they find that Kevin Feige or whatever. If they just make standalone DC films, I'm not going to be mad at that. I'm not going to be mad at that at all. But I mean, we just don't know what's going on. I mean, all I'm saying, they can make little shared universes. I mean, like the Black Adam and Shazam could have their own little shared universe. That'd be kind of dope. Like, it don't gotta be something as huge as the MCU, but like, they can do little things here and there, and I think that's fine. But
they've revamped so many different things. It's at the point where it's like, bro, are you gonna do the DCU or are you not gonna do it? And at this point, you gotta feel like they're not gonna do it, right?
And I again, necessarily is fine. I mean, they said they're gonna make a new Superman movie with Michael B. Jordan, which is one of the things that's. I hope it's Calvin Ellis. I really hope it's not. I really hope that it's not Cal. But I mean, at this point, it's like, just make solo. Just make solos and do little sharing here and here with your two properties. Like, at this point, I think DC just needs to take their time. I know everybody hates hearing, I want a Justice League. Take your time. Like, give us some characters we've never seen before. Give us and develop them, and then maybe in the future give us a Justice League.
How do you feel about Blue Beetle being made?
Blue Beetle should be on the big screen. I don't know why it's HBO Max Direct. That's all I gotta feel. That's all I feel about it.
All right.
I want a Blue Beetle movie, but I feel like it's extremely too early to give us.
Well, no, we're getting one. We're getting one next year.
No, I'm saying it's extremely too early in their, if they're trying to tie it into their universe. I
feel like DC and Sony are in the same boat, that they're just trying to see what shoots and what makes and what works, and from there they're gonna continue. Because with DC and Warner Bros., like you said, Aaron, they're in a boat right now where they don't know if they're going to be standalone films, or if they don't know if the properties are all going to connect or not. And additionally, if some films do work, there are going to be some properties that do connect, that talks about them, like Peacemaker, talking about Superman and everything else. So for that being the case, with Sony, the same thing with Venom, Morbius, and then they're making a Madam Web, Spider-Gwen. It's just like,
don't remind me. Please don't remind me.
But so like, they're both on the same boat of like, they're trying to shoot some darts and see what sticks, and whatever shoots in the middle is what could work. So Black Adam, I'm excited because of The Rock. We have Dr. Fate with interesting characters, but how can we be excited? Like, I'm excited for the standalone property, but is it gonna be a continuity where it's going to continue? Because I'd love to see on screen Henry Cavill, Superman, and Black Adam. I would love to see that. And maybe also Zachary Levi as Shazam. That'd be a dope confrontation like we've seen in the cartoons, movies, and the comics. Like, that'd be a dope scene to see three big dudes to actually be on screen. Like, that'd be dope to see. However, it depends on execution and who's behind us producers to actually make it happen. So it really is to see if they can make a standalone films and actually make it work, like Peacemaker and like other properties, and put it. It doesn't have to be a whole grand universe. It could, if it could work as standalone, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I agree. At the same time, like how you said, I'm at the point where I trust DC about as much as I trust Sony. At this point, and that's sad. Like,
hey, I might trust DC a little more than Sony.
The movies are better. The movies are better than Sony's, but I don't trust them.
I feel that. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen so far, like from so far talking strictly about like DC and Sony. I think my biggest problem with Sony is that Sony's at a stage now where they're really trying to rise off the success of Spider-Man that was not necessarily made by them, but like they're trying to rise off the success of it. And I mean, Madam Web movie makes no sense to me. I don't get it. Madam Web being in one makes sense to me. Having her own movie doesn't. You're literally creating random canon for characters. Like at that point, you got to tell yourself, wait, maybe I'm doing too much, right? Like maybe I'm just going a little off the deep end, and and so I don't even like with the Craven movie. I like Craven, but like Craven's best moments are with Spider-Man. Same thing with Morbius. Morbius' best moments are with Spider-Man. You're creating a universe without a Spider-Man, and even if you were to bring back Andrew Garfield, who's going to be your writer? Who's going to be your director? Y'all don't make good picks. We've seen y'all don't got good picks. Y'all don't have good discernment. So I don't know. I just, and with DC, it's for me every one is hit or miss. So you have to go watch it because it could be a hit. All right, you gotta go watch that next DC product. Sony, you can just watch it when it comes out, when it comes on streaming or Stars or wherever they put it. But DC, I gotta watch everyone. I gotta go see it because I'm like, this could be a hit, or it could be the worst thing I've ever watched in my life. Like it's like they don't. There's no middle ground. There's no middle ground for their films.
That is true. That's the only thing that we can say positivity for DC that in the past 10 years or past 20. They haven't really put a bad film other than like an average film. Like Wonder Woman 1984 average. It's not the worst, but it's average. It could have been a lot better, but it's a step down. But from other films, they have
me and Steve making the same face, but that 1984.
Hey, but I'm saying, but look,
a 3 out of 10.
But look. But what I'm saying is, compared to all the Sony properties that in the past 20 years, they are like a roller coaster, properties wise. Meaning like. Projects with Marvel and projects without Marvel, all of them have been a roller coaster. The Venom, the Morbius, but then you make Spider-Man 2, but then you make Spider-Man Into Spider-Verse, but then like they have such a good high, but then they have such a low. So it's like you go good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. But then with DC, you go more high and then one low, more high than one low. So it's not as bad with Sony. So
actually, now that I think about it, besides the Dark Knight series,
which I think they're overrated.
Yes. I mean, the Dark Knight, the movie itself is, but then we talk about Rising and Batman Begins, and I agree with you there. But we talk about Dark Knight, I don't think that's over. I don't think it's over. I think some people do, but I think it's a anyway. My thing is, I think that besides the Dark Knight series, which has at least 3 solid movies, DC kind of has a problem with second movies. With sequels, because Man of Steel, I don't think Man of Steel is a bad movie. I think it has bad stuff in it, but cohesively together,
it's a great film.
I don't think it's a bad movie. But then you got Batman vs Superman.
It's hard to call it a sequel when it's
got to be something.
It's not an intro. It's a sequel because it starts out with Superman. It's a sequel. It's a Superman and story with introducing Batman into his story. That's what it is. I'm just saying, and then Wonder Woman, 1984, trash. Wonder Woman #1, that's a good 8 to 9. I'm it's.
So you're not sold on Aquaman?
I don't trust Aquaman 2 right now. Aquaman 1 to me was a good film. It just it felt like it was long. That was the problem. It felt long to me. Aquaman felt long. I've seen it 3 times, and each time I get like halfway through to where he starts fighting what's his name? Black Manta. Black Manta. And I'm like, this movie kind of long. I guess I'm like, this
I
movie
probably
3 hours.
have to do a rewatch because I really enjoyed the first time, but it's been years since I have seen it. So maybe if I do a rewatch, it will be much better.
Say couch watching is much different than movie watching for Aquaman. When I was in the movies, you don't really feel it as much. You're kind of zoned in. You're watching it. You really love watching Black Manta, boom, boom. But then you go back and you watch it again on the couch, and you're just kind of sitting there, just like, this Black Manta part kind of long.
I will have to
King Orm. Yeah, King Orm is kind of going for a long time. I was like,
I'll have to check it out because it's been a long time. Because I've watched that with Sam like years ago, so I did enjoy it very much. I also have to rewatch Shazam because I did enjoy that very much overall. So
I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of Shazam either, but I think Shazam's solid. It's not a big fan of it. But again, I'm Shazam too. I don't really know where you go from if you have the same director and the same writer from my dad, because Shazam had the weakest villains of all the series. Yeah, I would say even weaker than 1984. Like I don't like the villain from 1984, but I don't think it's necessarily his fault. I think Pablo did a great that's his real name, right? Anyway, I think he did a great job of playing his villain role. Just the script sucked. While on the flip side, Shazam, I think the script sucked, and I think the actor, he tried his damnedest. But it just made it look bad on him too. And I'm a big faith for Shazam too, but I can see people loved it because it's a great popcorn flick.
You're talking about Pedro Pascal, right?
Yeah, Pedro. I said Pablo. Don't cancel me. It's not because he's Hispanic. Anyway.
Don't worry, I get it. I get it. People have called me Pablo, Oscar before, so I'm like, where do you get these names? I'm like, it's not even close to Miguel, but okay.
No, you should fight them. You have to.
You should fight them. If a man wants to, they don't even ask for your name. They're just like, hey, Miguel. He's just like, you look. I'd have to fight. I'd have to throw hands. I don't care.
Fight them. You have to punch that man in the face.
But so that is a good type of segue to talk about how do we all feel about the concept of method acting. I want to first actually, how do we feel about method acting in general? Not just about Jared Leto, but how is it that you, when an actor or actresses still stay in character, going home, still during the scenes taking a break, when they're doing the retake, stuff like that. How do you feel when they're still in their character overall?
So I like method acting for the most part, but I can see how it can become a problem when you're taking it to different places. When the scene is over, you've been, things like that. Like in between scenes, maybe, but like when y'all are not even on set anymore and you're doing it, or like you're just in makeup and you method acting, that's when it becomes overboard. I remember reading a story about Michael Ealy. Michael Ealy was playing like a villain, and he was like basically like this crazy like stalker type villain. He was really dark. And then his wife ended up making him go on a vacation because he was coming home and he was raging. He was talking to her, like she would have a conversation with him and he'd snap at her because he was still like method acting. And she was like, yeah, you need to go to the vacation house. She was all like, before you lose yourself. Like she was
before
like,
you lose me, nigga, before you lose me. She said, you better calm yourself before you lose the best thing that ever happened to you in your life.
Yeah, she was like, we're not acting anymore. Like, you're not acting anymore. So I think that's something that you have to kind of be careful with that, because like, you know what I'm saying, sometimes people take it too far and you can dive deep and lose yourself. Like, God rest his soul.
I definitely feel that. I think it's everything within reason, which is basically what you're saying. Everything within reason is fine. I think for some actors, especially ones that really get into the role, I mean, I wouldn't say it's like an archaic or old practice, because it's made some amazing films. It has, but it's also spurring some amazing tragedies and trauma for the people that work with them. And so there has to be a middle ground. There has to be a point where, all right, when you get on set, you can't do it. All right. When you drive in, you can't drive in and throw laughing gas on the ground like you're the Joker. You can't have that shit.
Like, stop.
No. But when we're actually filming and between scenes and we're on set, when we're in that building or on that set, fine, go ahead. But as soon as you cross the line, outside onto the asphalt, back outside the studio, y'all gotta cut that shit. Cut that shit. It can't keep going from there.
I agree, because like, for example, like to compare to us of who does content, we have a personality on screen, but then we don't act the same when we go to our spouse or go out with our friends. No, like me, I'm more hype, I'm more energetic on screen. But when I go to my girl, I don't be like, yo, babe, what's up? How you do? Yo, so we got to talk about this. We got to do this. No, I just be like, hey, babe, let's just enjoy ourselves in company. But the same thing, like I've seen and worked with actors and they still aren't in character. And I respect it, because we're still on set, or we're still on the stage, or we're still on set location. So I got to respect that. All right, cool, you're doing your thing. Me, I just, I'm going to do my thing, my job, where I'm hiring location department, camera department, where I am. So, but when you're home, that's when you have to turn off. Like, once you leave your job, aka on stage, on set, or on location, once you leave, you got to turn off, because now you're with your family. They're not your co-workers. They're your friends, your family. Those are people that don't know your scenes. They don't know what part of set you're doing or whatever's going on. Like, so with, and also if you're causing problems with your own team, your own coworkers, like Jared Leto going on and he's still in character, using the canes, using the wheelchair, and having your own team and your crew to push you to the bathroom and everything, like, alright, cool, my guy, you're extra right there. Like, you could walk yourself right there. Unless for that month or two for those scenes, you didn't have to eat because you want to look for the part, so you don't have a lot of energy to actually put yourself to the bathroom right there. Alright, cool, respect. Then you need the help. But if you're doing it to stay in character, then that's being too much. Because that's where you have to learn the boundaries. Like, your crew is working 12 to 18 to 20 hours. Like, those Teamsters who drive your trucks are working 20 hours. I've seen them and what they do. And for people in the location department, they are working a good 16, 18 hours. The camera department. So for you to push time and have your own crew stay to work longer than they should, now that is crossing the line, because those people need to go home and spend time with their family. Just like
they got family, they got lives too. It's like, it's not all about you. And it's like, going back to Jared Leto, I gotta say something else. All right, some of these actors and actresses, and you know, they do this method acting, they do all this for that, and then they movies suck. They movies suck. It's not working. It's not working. The method acting you think you're doing that's making it better, it sucks. It sucks. It's not good. It's not good. Now, you know, we can argue his Joker didn't get a real chance. We can argue that. Sure. But I'm gonna be real. From what we got, you like a 5. Your Joker's like a 5 out of 10. It's not that good.
I'll give it like a 7, 6.5. I'll give it.
From what we got, there was maybe a bit of potential, but for his 40 minutes of screen time in 3 movies, there's no reason for him to be acting like that. There's no reason. You had about 40 minutes of screen time. You was on set for 2 days. You what? I don't. What's up with that? What's up? And then with Morbius, there's no way you was doing all that method acting. We got Morbius.
See, but that's saying. That ain't his fault. That's right.
It's a lot of people's fault. But actors, actors.
Oh, you think he was a bad actor in there? I haven't seen it yet.
Well, I haven't seen the film yet myself either. But from what I've seen from reviews that people I trust, and I've seen the spoiler reviews and everything, so I know what happened in the film. Most of what was said, it wasn't even about Jared Leto. It wasn't even about his performance. It was more of how he was a bit extra on set and everything else. That was the most, but it was mostly about the writing, is what I've heard about the film. Which
that's
cool.
what I'm saying. That's
no,
not
but also,
yeah,
it's mostly Sony. You know, with Sony again, as you, like, I don't know what's with them. Whoever's in the top, like, they want to make their own films. So like, yo, you have a partnership with Marvel. Like, work with them. All right, cool. If you want to make your own, maybe make your own live action of Into Spider-Verse. If you want to do that, talk to Marvel, work with them. See, all right, guys, we have this idea with Madam Web. Help us to execute this. We want to do some Madam Web, just like what happened in the cartoons back in the 1990s, but we want to do a live action. How can we get there? Work with Marvel. You have that damn partnership. Just you have a phone call away from Kevin Feige. Like, if I had Kevin Feige's number with me, I will tell them, like, yo, Kevin, we had this idea. Can we meet up, on Zoom sometime on Monday, 12 o'clock? Can we fit in the schedule? Because we want to do this. And then, like, you have a good actor of Jared Leto from what he has done of his past roles. All right, cool. His current roles are not that great. All right, cool. But maybe it's a script. Maybe it's him in the right mindset, or maybe that's his way of throwing a tantrum because of the script. Yeah. Who knows? But if you have these said people of good actors on your project, then what is it that's going on here that you could just fuck up? Like, it just makes you question, what the hell?
I think it's 100% discernment. Like, we think about it, like, with so I say this, HBO Max. I don't think HBO Max has the best programming on TV. I ain't gonna lie. I don't think they do, like, story-wise. However, they have some of the best. They have some of the best direction and filmmaking in TV right now. I'm just being real. Like I say, Euphoria, nowhere near my top 5. Never will be in my top 10. Never will be in my top 15. How they treat the black characters kind of turns me off. I'm gonna just be real with it.
I still haven't seen it, so I can't really say anything to that.
I'll be real with it. But Euphoria has some of the best directing in all of television. I'm talking about all of television history. Like it is phenomenal. The cinematography, the filmmaking, it is just like I watch it for that. I watch it for that. I watch to see how they're going to do this next episode. How are you going to show this person's mental state? How are you going to do it? That's what I'm interested in. Like, and so like at times it's like it's discernment. I mean, you got these good actors, or good actors. You got I mean, and Tyrese, these good actors, and Tyrese, because Tyrese, and and all you need is a good filmmaker or director to bring the picture together, and yet they continually drop the ball on that. Like Venom 2, I don't think Venom 2 is a victim of necessarily bad actors taking on roles. The script wasn't good. It was like Venom 1, the same thing. Like it's just this, like it's like you directors and the script writers, whoever you have looking up the lore and piecing these pieces together, are doing it incorrectly. And so that I mean, we're getting away from like method acting, but I think that's what really hurt Sony and all that too.
Another you remember the Jamie Foxx stand-up when he talks about LL Cool J in his method acting, and LL Cool J thought that they was really playing football for any given Sunday and stuff like that. And then there's a scene where they're like arguing on the sideline where Jamie Foxx and LL Cool J are arguing. It's supposed to be for the movie, and LL Cool J really punched Jamie Foxx in that scene because he thought like he was so into the character, he was like Jamie Foxx is yelling at him, so he really punched. That's why they had they fight on set on any given and stuff like that.
I didn't know that.
You never knew about that?
I didn't know about that. I've only seen Eddie get something like once. I didn't know about that.
Bro, yeah, LL Cool J, he was like, Jamie Foxx has a stand-up where he literally says, he's like, this nigga really thought we were playing football. he says that he said we were sitting in there and he was like, come on, man, we got a game today. He's like, who got a game? He was like, we're acting. Like, you know what I'm saying? But like, it's just, when you're method acting, you can't get that involved to a point where we're having an argument on screen and you think that I'm yelling at you for real and you punch me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's
I mean, hey, I feel like the best actors and actors can ad lib and do certain things to make the scene better. And so I mean, we've had instances where they've done that. They've hit each other, they've done certain things, but it can't be like in the realm of like where you're acting insane 99% of the time. It's like if that 1% you just do something as a like if LL Cool J wasn't method acting the entire time and he did get into the role when they were filming and he punched him, Jamie Foxx would have probably still been pissed. But as soon as they walk off set, LL Cool J be like, yo, I'm so sorry, man, though. I really into the scene. But like that man, imagine being terrorized 24/7 for like 3 months.
Jared Leto was doing a lot.
Hey, yo, LL Cool J walk in your trailer with some compression shorts. You trying to get in this ice bath, dog? Nigga, what? No,
I'm
what?
not.
Hey, bro, I'm trying to hit a boy here after the game tomorrow.
Yeah, like.
But then, Aaron, you hit on the nose because when you do this type of method acting and when your movie is not as good as what you wanted, it's like you did all this extra work of putting yourself in the character, putting yourself in the scene, putting yourself
terrorizing the entire community,
and then it's not as good or beloved by everyone else. Is like that's when it hurts. Like for example, I feel like The Dark Knight is more loved because of the Joker, which respect for what it is because it is more known by the Joker more than Christian Bale. And he did his method acting, and for what happened, it happened. Respect, he went too committed. But overall, that's what we had to learn with the whole banders, know where you cross the line. And like in those type of certain roles, you need to know, like I feel like in those type of roles when you have to feel, or when the actor or when the actresses feel like they want to go method acting, I feel like they need to hire some type of therapist just for that. Because
I was gonna say that.
Because
Vash.
I feel like a therapist will help you guide yourself not to go too far in the extreme or try to get yourself too on the crazy side. Where okay, cool. All right, Jared Leto, you want to do method acting? Here, we hire a therapist because this will keep you balanced. of to keep yourself still sane, but not try to keep us, the crew, go crazy or hate you or the audience, the people, etc., etc. So I feel like having some type of therapist or counselor would be good for said actor or actresses that want to do some type of acting, because I don't think it's wrong or a bad thing. It's just that said actors and actors need to find a line of where they cross or where they could stop of their type of acting instead character.
No, man. Like I said, I was about to say that too. You was spitting, Vash. You was fucking spitting. That's exactly how I feel too, man. I mean, at some point, I mean, like I said, we're never going to get rid of method acting, like, because at the end of the day, it has spawned some great performances. But at the same time, there should be a way in which it does not make it unsafe or unequitable for the rest of the people on set. Like he was taking 45-minute bathroom breaks, which I don't know if that's what Morbius did in the comics. Hey man, was Morbius in the comics for 3 pages taking a shit? I don't know, but it becomes like a convenience for some of these actors or actors like who maybe not in their glory days anymore, right? And now you start doing all this other shit to try and level up, and everybody looking at you like. And also, I feel like actors who've been in the game that long, you know what a good script looks like. Jared Leto, you've been in good movies. You know what a good script looks like. You know when you came for the table read for that Morbius script, you read that and was like, this is a pile of shit. You know that. You fucking know that. And you still went ahead and did all that bullshit. Come on. Phone it in for the check. Get the check. Get the check and go home. This ain't a classic. You knew that shit wasn't a classic. Come on now. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Trying to redeem himself for the last superhero movie.
You know what? And he did it in the worst way possible, because they're going to try and push Morbius into the Sinister Six thing. I don't know how this is going to work in a separate timeline thing. I'm actually so mad that they brought my man over there. Not Scarecrow. What's his name? What's the villain's name? Sheesh. I'm forgetting.
What?
Are you talking about Riddler?
No, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Green Goblin?
No. The one in the after credit scene in Morbius.
Oh. Freaking Vulture.
Vulture. Yeah. I'm mad that they brought my man Vulture into that universe, into that mess, into that garbage pile. Leave him in the main MCU universe. I don't want him over there, because that means if he's over there, that it validates that universe. It validates that universe. And I don't want to validate that universe, okay? Venom is enough. I don't want to validate anything else that comes out of their fucking mouth. Okay, I don't want that. Because if Madam Web comes and they validate that shit, I'm gonna be fucking pissed.
So all Sony is doing is going the Batman route, but with Spider-Man. They're gonna milk Spider-Man for everything they got. They finna making a Madam Web movie, like you said. Madam Web sits in a chair for 85% of her life that we know of. You know what I'm saying? So
she existed originally in the cartoon. Had a very, very limited comic run. Like you're literally making up 95% of lore. Like my thing is I wanted Madam Web, not a movie. I just wanted her character. I think Madam Web's a cool character, blind spider character that controls the web of the universe. Oh, that's fucking cool. I would have loved her in a Spider-Man movie, and maybe Spider-Man, we get into the Spider-Verse, we get Miles and stuff like that, and we got him talking with Madam Web. Madam Web directed them, and then there's so many things I could think of ways to bring her in, but giving her own solo movie is the exact opposite direction in the ways of using Madam Web. She is a supporting character, and she should only now. If they make a Spider-Gwen movie and put her in it, I'm okay with that. But if you make a Madam Web, what is it going to be about? She don't fight nobody. Who is going to be her villain? Are they going? You know what? Knowing them, they're going to make her villain, the villain of Into the Spider-Verse, the energy vampires or whatever, and they're going to somehow bullshit it to her winning, and everyone's just going to look at it and be like, this is why we hate you. Like, it's gonna be another Rotten Tomatoes 10%, and we're gonna be like, did y'all do they even make their money back at this point? Like, did they make their money back on Morbius? Venom 2, I'm pretty sure they did, because people like Venom 1, but
look, Aaron, you know why Sony don't really care if they did make money back? Because Spider-Man No Way Home made millions of fucking dollars. So they don't really care if they got money back from Morbius. Because they said, hey, We're good because a good 5 months ago, throughout the past 5 months, we made about 800 top a million or about to reach $1 billion already. So they're good. They said, hey, we got a huge W. Let's just take this small L. No big deal.
Disgusting. I'm so disgusted.
Only shit fake.
And plus, even James brought up in the chat, he said, I have no idea how Matt Smith, for those that don't know Matt Smith, he is the villain in Morbius, and he also was one of the doctors in Doctor Who as well. And James brought up saying that how is it that he read the script and also chose that this was a good script for him to be in this film. So like he brought up a good point. It's like, how is it that person that knows good property who was in a good series of Doctor Who, and for him to read the script and like, you know what, I feel like I'll be a good villain in this, and and chose
you want to know property. How? You want to know how? And JB, I'm gonna answer your question too. The check cleared. That's how he probably thought at first. It's not. He said, "Man, this shit trash." And then Sony said, "Yeah, well, we're gonna give you about another $200 million for this." And he said, this check is valid. This check is dated and valid. I'm gonna go. You know what? If I was in a bad movie, I would never be on set. I would just show up, do my scenes, and go home. Like I would never be on set. They'd be like, "Hey, why is Aaron never on set?" And they'd be like, "Oh, we don't know." And then after, I'd be like fucking Robert Pattinson about Twilight. They'd be like, "Oh, why? We heard that you guys are never on set. No, that movie sucks. Why'd you do it?" The check cleared, and they're gonna look like, "Wow, you have no integrity. I'm an actor. I'm not the fucking president. I'm not the fucking president, but I need integrity for in a movie. I'm an actor." They tried. But maybe filmmakers aren't going to think you're trustworthy. Am I good or am I bad? That's all that matters. That's why Jared Leto keep getting jobs, because he not. Back in the day, he was good. Past 5 to 8, you
got a point there. So one more last news type of topic is not on the show notes, but it's because we are exactly 28 days away from a film that's coming out, and I want to ask you guys: did you guys struggle to buy the tickets 2 days ago of Doctor Strange Into the Multiverse? How many times did you try to buy those tickets, or how many hours did you spend?
I didn't even try yet. Let me go check right now.
You didn't even buy the tickets yet?
Hey man, I'll be buying a week before and I'll be good. I'll be buying a week before and I'll be good.
Oh damn, you lucky that shit, because here in New York City, me and Sam, well, I didn't buy them yet because I don't have a job yet, so I don't even know if me and Sam could go that Friday or Saturday. But it's like, shit. Because I know James took about 6 hours, I believe, and he was just, what's funny, the day before, I think he did get them. No, actually his girl got them for him. But I was laughing because he tweeted a day ago saying, AMC, I hope you're ready, because a lot of people are gonna break your server and everything. And it's funny how the next day, AMC was slacking. They did not survive.
So like, I haven't attempted to buy them either, because of the fact that when JB was saying that everything was broken and everything like that. But usually I wait until one of my homeboys, me and him usually go see the movies together. So I wait until we link up on a weekend, and I'll be like, "Hey, you want to go see this?" He'd say, "Yeah," and then we'll buy the tickets then. That way we kind of get like closer seats to each other and shit like that. We're not spread out and stuff. So I'll probably end up trying to buy the tickets tomorrow. But it's crazy that, like, to think that, like, man, did you get your tickets? Did you get your tickets? How like rough it is for Doctor Strange. And as good as Batman did, I had no problem. I walked up to the door and got my bag. You want to see how many seats are open right now?
Look, in Colorado, look at that. Actually, it's a little bright. Let me turn my brightness down.
About to say that, like
the whole theater, theater is open right now.
Damn, who chose the right corner in the corner? Like, I chose to be by themselves.
I don't know, but
they just said
the whole motherfucking theater is open. I ain't gotta worry. Actually, real quick, since talking about this, I think you guys probably talked about this before. But you guys heard how like some movie theaters are thinking about making you pay more. I think it's like Regal or something like that. Is thinking about making you pay more for superhero movies.
Yeah,
and I realized that it really is like. So the theater I just showed you is it's called a Movie Tavern. It's not a Regal or United Artists Theater. It's like a what's the word? It's an independent theater, right? And that ticket was about $15. right? And I remember when I was going to see Batman, it was actually $3 more or $3 more. Yeah, it's so I just been to a United Artists thing. It's 1814.
That doesn't make sense. And that's crazy because it's still a movie.
It's the same movie.
Just because
the same movie, the same Dolby Atmos, all that.
It's just because it's a different genre. So now you're gonna upsell. That's bullshit.
I don't get it. Like you're gonna like either like, and it's weird to me because I guess because they're saying, oh, they're trying to. At first, like everybody's talking about incentivizing so that people will go watch more indie movies or whatever. But I'm like, if an indie movie is good, people will watch it. Everything, everywhere, all at once. I'm about to go watch that shit this weekend. Yeah. And because it not only looks good, but it has stellar reviews. Like if a movie is good, people will watch it. Like
so for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness at AMC in Lincoln Square, one of the most popular movie theaters in Manhattan in the tri-state area, $22.29 for a ticket. And I'm looking at the seats. Those are all the seats already taken.
Jesus, $22 is insanity. Like it's so crazy how it's like state to state, theater to theater. Like if it's not Regal United Artists, you'll be all right. You know what I mean? If it's independent, you might get a cheaper ticket. Like it doesn't make any sense, man. It's just I don't know, man. Price gouging to me will always be insane because that's what it is. It's price gouging because it's the most popular thing. You know people are want it, and so you're trying to exploit people so that they can see it. Because like imagine you got a family of 4. And now you got to go, and everybody wants to go see Doctor Strange, right?
It's $100, maybe $120 plus tax and everything, $130 plus tax,
maybe. And you know your kids gonna want some popcorn, like you know they're gonna want a little candy, something like that. So and you need to go to the dollar store for, and you get the candy. That's like another $10. So you still spend about we get one large popcorn for everybody. One large, okay?
For everybody?
No, we sharing a whole one large. That's still about $130. You didn't pay $130 to go to the movie. That's what? That's gas. That's gas money today. That's literal gas money today.
Like, I think our tickets cost like $9. And if I go to like the Majestic, one of those like smaller real movies, those just like $4.50.
Exactly. Man, I haven't bought a $4.50 ticket like maybe 15 years ago. And I was like, and that was when I used to cut school back in high school and go to the theaters on a Tuesday just because it was half price.
Man, you know what? I never did anything extravagant when I skipped school. I used to be like, oh, my mom left. I'd skip school and come back home and play the game or something like that. But like when I be hearing these stories, people be like, I went to the movies, I went to the mall. I'm like, man, I suck.
No, hey, Steve, you're a good kid. Steve, you're a good student because trust me, that's good stuff. Because I've heard people do some crazy shit come to school, but that's a whole different conversation, a whole different podcast.
Whole different episode.
But overall, about tickets wise, we had a struggle and everything. You guys are good. People like James, myself, we are here trying to survive. But my question is, are you guys excited knowing that we're 28 days and is so many questions and so many not having answers knowing that what's going to happen? So are you guys overall excited? Are you guys more curious? Do you guys have crazy theories that you guys want to happen? Like, what's your overall excitement? Because that's what you want to know. And then we could jump straight into Moon Knight.
I'm super excited about this, especially after watching Moon Knight today. Because we got some more purple, like, so basically anytime I see that purple like breakage and stuff, I'm like, okay, this is all because of Loki and this shit was happening in Spider-Man No Way Home. So I'm wondering how they're gonna do it. And for me, Doctor Strange was my number one anticipated movie for this year. Followed right behind with Thor: Love and Thunder, because I'm just give me more Marvel at this point. Like they doing all the right things. They connecting the pieces. They've taken everything that we complain about DC not doing. Marvel is doing it as far as their MCU is, and it's like I just want more. So especially with this one, because this one is going to be
it's the big one. It's the big banana.
Yeah, it's a
big banana.
This is like, I guess this one's Civil War-ish. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like you're getting a lot of characters at once. So,
also it's still like I'm gonna piggyback off of you with the Moon Knight thing. First things first, I'm talking from a different angle though. The tone of Moon Knight is what has me excited for Doctor Strange, because Doctor Strange has been pushed as a closer look into the horror supernatural side of it, and we have Sam Raimi on it. And if him and what Moon Knight has done so far has been a good job of being suspenseful, of being having slight scary moments that younger child, a grown person might not be scared of it, but like a younger child or even like somebody who's just got a little they a little scary, they gonna jump a few times. And I like that because it's everybody's been complaining that the tone of Marvel has been the same. It's to the point where the point where that one Mr. Knight part, people were complaining about, because they were being comedic for 5 seconds.
Bro,
for 5 seconds.
So stupid.
For 5 seconds. But like it's becoming that even with the past products, with Loki, with Falcon, with WandaVision, and now with Moon Knight, even Eternals, that Marvel is trying to really diversify the tones and shifts that it's giving, and each of them have a different tone, and that they're all kind of more serious too, which I like. Because I feel like even like Thor Ragnarok, they had to go that route, because I'm be real, I don't think they could find a director that could give us a real Thor, and I think that's the issue. They tried with Thor 1, didn't work. Tried with Dark World, didn't work. Both time the directors, they just didn't get the vision. Ragnarok, they had to go a different route and pick something else, because they knew they could find a director that could make that kind of story, and that was easier than finding someone that could make a more serious story. But now they're finding these directors and these people, they're reaching out, they make their reach is now so broad that they're bringing in Moon Knight. I think it's the first one to have an Arab director ever, and that's and you could it's phenomenal because you see the care and love put into the product, and also why it's so much different than what is before. So that's why I'm excited for Doctor Strange, because I'm ready to see the continuation of this tone shift, the continuation of bringing back bringing back Iron Man 1 vibes, because Iron Man 1 has jokes, but Iron Man 1 isn't jokes. And so I'm excited. That's why I'm excited for it. I can't wait to see what they do with it. I love having more characters in it, but I love how it's more characters, but still a focus on the two main ones. It's going to be Doctor Strange and Wanda. And because Wanda's the villain, Doctor Strange is the hero. But is he?
We don't know.
But is he? But so yeah, this is so much to be excited for. And people saying this many heroes. Every movie has 1,000 heroes. I'm like, hey man, welcome to the fucking Marvel universe. Pick up a comic book.
That's too much what it is.
I really want to piggyback to what you said, Aaron, about two things, because I love what you brought up by Eternals, Hawkeye, Loki, and these series having each a different tone now. Yeah, still has that Marvel good message and everything. And I have started to understand and also not give a fuck what Twitter or what people opinions saying, that they always like to criticize and nitpick anything they see, and I'm like, do people not want to see a happy side of what they watch? It's like people want to see dark and gloomy. All right, cool. We could see dark and gloomy, aka with Loki. He technically did not win. He lost everything that he was trying to fight for. The only thing he won was that he still survived. Kang won. He
100% lost in Loki.
And the thing is that people don't want to see that. People just want to see, he's still the same character and everything, blah, blah. I'm like, no. He's still learning his own type of way, because this is 2012 type of version Loki and everything. Yeah. But he fell in love with his own self, but girl version. But she stabbed him in the back. Kang just came back, but there's a whole different version. Nobody knows who he is, and he's stuck in a whole time loop again. So people just want to nitpick, and that's what I have started to realize doing this show of villains, doing podcasting and everything, is that people always want to nitpick no matter what. And it's crazy. It's not even content creators that are doing the nitpick. It's just casual fans. You can never please them no matter what it is, because people would like to say Eternals is the worst MCU film, and I'm like, that's some bigger bullshit, because Eternals is what took the turn of trying to do something different of what other Marvel MCU films have done. And I'm happy Eternals did what they did, because yes, it's not the best MCU films. I could acknowledge that. But it's a film that is literally touching the idea of gods and literally touching thing of what Jack Kirby has done in the comics and bring it to life. And that's not an easy task, because for anybody that has read Marvel comics, Jack Kirby stuff and everything else from the Eternals and the God comics is very something intriguing from what with the whole DC universe. I mean, with the whole DC comics as well. God stuff is very hard to adapt into live action because we have seen that Apocalypse, Darkseid, and everything else. So to see it done what it did in Eternals, I'm fine with. It could have, yes, it could have been a lot better, but that's a whole different conversation. That's more on Marvel with their budget. That's a whole.
But it also wasn't that bad. I still give Eternals
agree.
like a 7. I still give it like a 7.
Yeah,
like it wasn't that bad.
And also talking about rating, I don't know why people see when people say, "Oh, it's a 7 out of 10." People think it's bad. I'm like, no, a 7 out of 10 actually means good. 5 out of 10 is average because that's literally slapped in the middle. I don't know why people think a whole reading system is just weird. But the other thing I want to add to what you said, Aaron, is that with Doctor Strange, is what I'm hyped for is to know what's actually inside the film. Because from what we know, Marvel's trailers in the recent years, they like to post what is just for us to get hype about. And then what's actually in the film is not even there. So I can't wait to see.
Which I love.
And I love that. Exactly. Because for that exact reason, remember in, I think it was an Endgame or I think it was Infinity or both of them.
When they had the Hulk running.
Yeah, the Hulk running. They had other scenes and we get hyped for it. And then we watch the film and like, hold up. What happened to the trailer? Some scenes that we were supposed to see was not happening there. So I can't wait to see that in the film. About the Wanda stuff, the Strange stuff, what is real, what is not real. Because they actually posted a new trailer with different angles and different stuff that and a poster showing that there's different versions of Strange, there's different versions of different characters, but Wanda is only one person and President American Chavez is only one person. So it makes you more like
Nexus characters. Doctor Strange is not a Nex. This could be a whole episode. Fuck it.
I know, but that's why I just said let's talk about excitement. Let's talk about what we feel about it. Not full breakdown because there's a whole new trailer, but it's just it proves to you that their marketing strategy for this film, they know how to pick and choose for whoever is whoever is doing the trailer, whoever house is doing this, or if it is actually Marvel doing the pick and choose of the lines, of the dialogue and everything else, I'm happy for them because they're playing their money right, just like they did with No Way Home in this film. I give the props to them because I cannot wait. Like, what makes me more excited to see was what we have seen in the trailers and what we've seen in the film is to see what is real and what's not real because their editing in these trailers are great because from seeing the second trailer that they posted makes me curious to see, wait, is there a whole new Wanda or there's only one Wanda now? So this whole type of questioning of what we see and what we don't see, it just makes me very excited. Steve, what are your thoughts? Because we haven't fully heard it and I want to get to it before we jump into the full mental personalities out here.
Well, you know, like I said, this was my most anticipated movie.
100%.
100% most anticipated Marvel movie this year. And it's just, I want to see I really want to see the Illuminati. I still want to see what we're going to get with Mordo because I want to see how he comes into play because we haven't seen him since Doctor Strange. Like other characters,
no more wizards or some shit.
Yeah, he was, and it's like, bro, and it's been a while. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's been a huge gap since that. And then we don't even know if he necessarily was even snapped away. What if he was here the whole time and never snapped away? So his power could have grown substantially. Like there's so much that I want to know about this movie. And I can't wait, bro. Like I really can't wait.
He said some real interesting stuff in the trailer too, though. He said some real interesting stuff in the trailer.
He's seeming like he might be a part of the Illuminati.
He said, Doctor Strange, I told you, you're not supposed to. And I'm like, what you know that we don't know? What you know that we don't know? Come on now, dog. You out here trying to act like you big and bad. What you know that we don't know?
Messing around and that man is the head of the Illuminati or something crazy.
Come on now. I would love it.
There's questions overall for this film, and we can't wait. We're only 28 days away from the film, May 6th, that comes out. So if you guys have not pre-ordered your ticket, body like James himself, or if you like Steve and like Aaron taking a sweet ass time and you could buy the tickets a week before, the day of, just walk in and say, hey, I want to buy a Doctor Strange ticket, and there's still a whole row available, unless you want to be in your own corner seat, that's up to you. But May 6th is a Doctor Strange into the Multiverse, so get excited. You will be seeing coverage for that week from James, myself, and the C4SVillains, the Council of Villains, because we're not maybe that week we will call ourselves the Illuminati. Who knows?
The Illuminati is when Ray and Chris show up.
Oh yeah, that is true. Yes, if I'm correct, James did book them, so we might have the whole Illuminati squad that week. So if I'm correct, James did book them, so it's gonna be very exciting. It's gonna be a very exciting week in May 6th, but we're talking about this week. We're having a episode 2 breakdown of Moon Knight. So be careful for spoilers, pun intended, for Moon Knight episode 2 breakdown. And we're going to start off with Aaron first, because we use it here for episode 1. So how did you feel from episode 1 to 2? Did you not like episode 1? And did you like episode 2 and want now more after seeing it? How did you feel overall?
I think episode 1, and I was watching y'all the Careful for Spoilers episode 1, and James kind of said it too. I think it's one of the best first episodes for the Marvel shows so far. I think even like I still want more from the direction of filmmaking. Again, like I said, HBO Max is some of the best filmmaking, period. And I still want a little bit more from what we're getting. But what we have gotten is really phenomenal. I think despite people being a little perturbed with Stephen Grant being different than who he is in the comics, I think it's really a good intro of Moon Knight, his entire character, into the MCU, just because we're not getting necessarily intro. We're not necessarily getting a story of where we're literally finding out like how he became Moon Knight and everything like that, and his death. We get allusions to it. We might see it because we've seen scenes from the trailer of him being in the pyramid, so we might actually see what turned him into Moon Knight. But it's a building ground. It's a building ground. Like, we're getting there, and I think it's done a really good job of presenting and establishing the character outside of the main MCU. So yeah, I'm like getting a phone call right on a time. And so so from episode 1, I thought episode 1 was really well done. I really liked it, really enjoyed Stephen. I really enjoy the actor Oscar Isaac. I think he does a great job of playing that aloof, naive, hates violence character, and how his aversion to violence, how he portrays it, is amazing. Holds the gun, is like, oh gosh, and like drops it and stuff like that. I love that. I love a lot of it. But one thing I'll say is that you can definitely tell that this was made during pandemic times, and it kind of suffers a little bit with the overuse of CGI in certain scenes. And I get it. I'm hoping, the pandemic technically still isn't over, but I'm usually not that guy that's like, I want more practical effects. I'm usually not that guy. But when we had that chase scene in the first episode in the ice cream, cupcake truck, you could tell so much of that was CGI. And I get it that because they've done practical car chase scenes in the MCU before. So I don't think it's that they didn't want to do it. It's just hard when you have that many set pieces and that many people.
From somebody who works in production, the way I saw it is that maybe they had other budget in other areas where they have to put more, and they had to sacrifice it in these type of scenes, which I understand, because where they're filming, probably they had to spend more for set locations from where we know where episode 3 is gonna be. So maybe they had to spend more money in set locations, maybe more money into the suit, how it looks, with all the special effects, the cloth. So all these things probably cost more to do and spend time on than actually the truck. Like, if I'm correct, me and James did talk about it in episode 1. The whole car scene, the rocks, the trees falling down, the branches and everything, it don't look that great. But at the end of the day, maybe they did have to sacrifice that. And also, during that week, they just finished what they could be done to have that episode released at that time. So they were on a time crunch. I don't know why. Nobody was asking or pushing for the show to come out, but they want to release it. Maybe because it connects to other properties that comes out.
Well, I mean,
over the next few
also
months.
they had already delayed it, and I mean, like I said, the pandemic isn't ending anytime soon necessarily. Yeah. I mean, so it's like it's a money issue, but then again, I'm always like, Disney's a multi-billion-dollar billion-dollar company, and Marvel makes them a lot of those multi-billions. So I don't. But so like for me, I think it's more so a health issue than anything else. Not. I just think like, because remember this, and let's say this is all filmed within the past 2 years, and then they delayed it. And then but even if you delay it again, we're going to keep delaying everything till the pandemic's over. I mean, we could do that, but I mean, and that means we'll be doing it forever. You know what I mean? So, I mean, for at least another 5 years. And I'm like, so again, it wasn't the worst CGI I ever seen. It wasn't Black Panther Final Fight levels, but it was just something that was noticeable to me. And I was like, but moving on, how I feel about episode 2. I think episode 2 was another episode. I love how they're establishing his character. And I think it was best to start with Stephen Grant and then switch over to Mark. I think that's amazing because, and then I think I'm pretty sure later in we'll get Jake and then we'll get all three. But I think it's really good to start off with Stephen, transition to Mark, because, you know, I'm not a big Moon Knight comics reader. I'm going to get more into it. But from what I know, from what I've researched, it's a lot more that the comics are just Mark. It's just Mark being Mark, and then we have little droplets of the other guys coming in, but it really establishing them to his mythos and in the MCU and his like it's what gives him some more dynamic character than just what people like to call him as, you know, the Marvel's Batman. Like he's like, if you watch the first 2 episodes,
never been Marvel's Batman either. That's what.
But you get what I'm saying. Though you watch those first 2 episodes, you are not thinking that man's Batman.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
You can't even relate them to. So
I don't know why in these past 20 years people compare him to Batman. Like just because he builds his suit and just because like he is a man of might, I'm like, okay, that's all you got.
That's literally all they got. Because really, I think that was the main reason why they went away from the Stephen Grant being the Playboy millionaire, because they was like, we're done with these comparisons. Yeah. So they made him more so of just he works at a museum and things like that. For everything you said, you know, Mark is like the main. This is Mark's body. You know what I'm saying? And the other personality. So I thought it was a cool dynamic that they started with Steven instead of Mark. I thought that was something different. That was something that I wasn't expecting. And last week I was like, there's no way they pick up from after that fight. They're going to flash back. And I was completely wrong. I was like, they're going to flash back and they're going to show us that day again. And they're going to show it from different personalities' perspective. Now I'm starting to think that episode 1 is the catalyst for the whole season. And some of those conversations that we were getting and things like that of that day are going to make sense later on, because we still have, because it was mentioned in the group chat, but I had already thought about it too. Either Steven, Mark, or another personality asked this girl on a date. Steven had no idea he had a date, so he didn't ask that girl on a date. Mark is married. So another personality asked that girl on the date.
I 100% believe that later on in the series, maybe two episodes, maybe after we get out of this Egypt arc, I think we're going to get introduced to Jake. And I think it's not going to be like we actually see Jake. It'll be like both Mark and Steven. They're like, 1 second. Whose keys are these? It's gonna be a moment where whose keys are these? Where does this go? Why? Like it's gonna be another thing. Why is this person in contact? It's gonna be something like that connects them to another person, and they're gonna be like, "What the fuck is going on?" And then they're gonna go there. It's gonna be like somebody else's apartment or something. They're gonna be like, and someone's going, "Jake," and we're gonna be like, and they're gonna be like, "Jake? Who the fuck is Jake?" Yep. And it's like, and that's what's going to like spawn in the next personality.
Because he's the taxi cab driver.
Driver.
He's a great driver and stuff like that. So in that first episode, like you guys talked about, he's driving backwards. What other character, what other personality would be able to pull something off like driving backwards and things like that? But I digress from that.
But yeah, so
overall, it's great.
That's great first impression. So let's go straight to our breakdown. So usually we go with a production overall and a character breakdown, and then favorite moments. So first off is production. Aaron, I'm gonna kick off to you. How did you like episode 2 with the set design? Because now we got to more of the area of London, to the other areas of his new suit. Like, how did you like about the set design overall with episode 2? Now seeing episode 1 and everything else.
Number one thing I'm going to talk about: lighting. It's something that in a modern superhero movie and other movies, we really have bad lighting. I'm gonna be real. Like the Batman did a good job of balancing its lighting to the darkness, did a really good job of that. Like, but we've had a lot of movies and shows that just have had horrible lighting, indistinguishable lighting. And there's one that lighting, the way they made the sun, the moon glint off that white suit, fantastic. Fan-fucking-tastic. You could see everything. It didn't feel like it was too muddy. Even like when he's running from the building, I really like that. I think they do. I think as a whole, as we move, like I said, we're moving to the greater London in this episode. I think as a whole, they did a really good job of illuminating the different areas. Of also, really setting the scenes. I think the film work did a really good job of setting scenes and stuff like that. Like nothing felt too rushed, too abrupt. I didn't feel like I was getting thrown around, and because that's not what I wanted. That's not what they were trying to give us in this one. So I think they did a good job. I like one of the things I really thought was really cool was how they managed to do all the reflections of Mark and Steven throughout their conversations when they meet, when they get to Arthur Harrow, Ethan Hawke, and how they're having this conversation within themselves throughout the different mirrors and everything like that throughout the place they're in, throughout the city. And I think they do a really good job of that, which again is attributed to lighting and everything like that. If I'm going all the way down score, I think the music is really good at times. It swells at the right moments. I just really like this episode. Like this like I could be an asshole and nitpick, but I'm just like there's not much
to nitpick. Like
well,
it's good to show love.
Well, yeah, because what I mean is like there's very small issues. Like again, I think the direction. Okay, I think the direction is fine. Do I think it's phenomenal? Do I think it's one of the best I've ever seen? No, I think it's fine. Like I think there could have been at parts where they could have shown his mental state better, where they could have been a little more creative in how he tackles certain issues and stuff like that. I do agree. I do think it could have been better, but
I do have some thoughts about that when we get into the character breakdown, because there's a couple of things that I would have preferred we saw more, and there's some things I prefer that we saw less of. So I have some thoughts about that. So if you want to hold off all of your thoughts,
okay, yeah, I'll hold it back. Go ahead. Go ahead, somebody else.
For this episode, I really loved the production of this episode, especially one of my favorite scenes, production wise, I guess, is when he says, "Oh, I'm just gonna take all these weapons and everything to the police," and he steps into that hallway, and the lighting is happening, and as the lighting is happening, you see Khonshu in the background, and you see him kind of in the front, and then he's like, I thought that was like really, really dope. I thought that scene was fire as fuck. The production for it, the lighting, as he pops up, boom, Khonshu was right there in his face, and he's like right on his tail. I thought that shit was fire. Other things about the episode that I really loved, I love the set design, or whatever we're gonna call it, when at the very end when he looks out the window and we're in Egypt. I thought that was beautiful. I thought that was really well done. There's a lot of stuff with production wise that I thought this it's crazy to think that this is a TV show. You know what I'm saying? Like this is such movie quality stuff, which we've been getting it in all of the Marvel TV shows, but to think that they're still doing this in these TV shows, they're breaking the bank. They don't care. They're spending the money and getting it right for these TV shows. They're not cutting corners and giving us CW quality type stuff. They're giving us really good stuff for a TV series, and I think that's really, really crazy. You don't get these kind of graphics and sets and shots in some movies. You know what I'm saying? And we're getting these in TV shows, and I just think that that's just crazy how they do it.
One of my favorite part is, like you guys brought up, Steve, is just the editing of how the Khonshu coming in with the light in the storage, just going in and out. It's just like with the whole lighting. I don't know if it's somebody doing the switching in the back of the corner, doing with like up, down, going to that area. And then the camera were like, whoever is doing the lighting, camera work, and with the Khonshu, like, and with the editing, they did a great team up because knowing to come close up shot, far shot, wide shot to Steve in that moment, it just works so well. It's showing that he's scared, and then showing a lot of people was annoyed on the timeline with the whole freeze frame of a 2 second or 3 second was it of showing Steve, and they pop out when he was running away, and I'm like, people don't remember that freeze frame is a technique that they used to use back in the 80s and 90s for so many years. Okay, and this director wanted to use it in this episode, and people are mad about it, like, oh, that's probably a mistake of an editing choice. I'm like, no, you said it. It's an editing choice. They chose to do it like this. It was for this scene, showing Steve that he's having a panic attack, showing that he don't know what's going on, and he has no answers. All he has is question, and he's having a panic moment of where he's kind of breaking, and all he's doing is just afraid. So I love that scene for that purpose. Another scene that was beautiful is the way Ethan Hawke just talks to Steven, saying, it's okay, you're safe, I used to work for Khonshu, don't worry. And I'm like, you're just talking to him, you're not really giving him answers. Like, you just throwing little song, guiding him what's going on. And just the way the camera work shows that Steve asks him a question like, wait, so y'all okay murdering kids and just babies out here, even though the baby could just be a bad guy 20-30 years from now? And I just love the way the camera shows the other people and Ethan Hawke's face, and they're like, yeah, like, just no big deal. And I go back to Steven, it just questioning his own mindset, like, wait, I'm the same one, but in his eyes and his body expression of Oscar, he's the one that's technically insane because he feels insane, but he's questioning them where y'all the insane ones too. So I just love the whole camera work showing that everyone is not even talking around him, but they're just coming closer and closer where he's kind of getting claustrophobic. So I just love that very much for his character as well.
Yeah, man. But
Lily made a good point in the comments. She talks about how the compound was so pretty, did a really good job making it look too welcoming. But that's what I'm saying. Exactly. The lighting, the lighting, walking in and like that, the warm tones of the lighting. It's not too bright, it's not too dark. Like and I like how they switch from him to the projector, to them like having the congressional moment as things start to spiral, and then they're all standing up. Like I love how they really balance that. Like, and then we have like Khonshu standing up there on the thing. Like, I don't do that. That was funny. That's not me. You talking about somebody? That's not me. Like that one was funny. Like they did it. I did like a really good job of just balancing a lot of the different elements with it. So yeah.
And plus to add to that as well, of what Lily said is that they was welcoming him in, and they was also offering him fruits, food, saying, this is a really good fruit, you should try it. It's like they were trying to bring him to feel welcome and safe. But then once he said, I don't have the scarab, what I like also that in the first episode, we didn't see how the Hellbound came out or what it did. But now that we finally saw that the cane is also what projects the dark energy of the purple and brings the whole type of Hellbound to come and chase our boy Steven. So it was a nice set design, and plus the CG looks good. I'm like, I could see the ground breaking. It looks realistic. So I'm like, okay, so this was a good CG, a whole type of special effects right there. So it looked really nice. So overall, this episode, I can't wait to talk about episode 3 next week for the whole type of Egyptian part, because
that's where I think we'll get the flashbacks to his death and everything.
Same here, because from what we saw in the trailer for episode 3, we see his partner, Layla, I think they pronounce it. If I'm correct, it's Layla.
Girl, yeah, Layla.
Yeah, Layla.
And then I'm wondering if we're gonna see the champ, as well in episode 3, or are we gonna wait till episode 4, because he is like his sidekick
Yeah.
Like his
I hope we do. I feel like there's a lot of characters. As I was looking up, there's a lot of characters in this lore that's really close to him, and I think it's good to keep some of those for the last episode, right? For them to really reveal themselves in the last episode, like the one guy who's the gold guy, who we know is his companion for Jake.
So in the first episode, that statue is a statue. Mm-hmm. And in this episode, it's a man in gold playing a statue. So I think as the episode go on, that dude is getting more real because mentally it's in his head. You know what I'm saying?
So with that, I was also gonna add of how, damn, I just lost my train of thought. It literally just flew out of my head.
Wait, no. In the first episode, that's a real guy because they give him money. They're not giving Steve money. They give him the gold guy money.
Yeah.
He said, "Don't you forget the tip." But maybe I need to watch it again because in this episode, you can kind of like see the pupils and stuff like that. And I really felt like that was a real statue. Maybe I need to rewatch it.
Yeah, that was a real person. I think the only reason why it's different is because, well, actually, I'm not totally sure, but you see his expression changes. And I think that's why I think that's why even before he hugged him, like you see the point where his face goes from like straight to like starts to droop a little bit. And he does it as he tries to be not noticeable because I think that's why I think they changed the makeup so you could see his expression change because that was the most important thing. Like he's a statue all the time, but now his expression changing. And because I'm pretty sure from the guesses I've seen online is that's that one guy that's homeless that helps him out sometimes. So I'm thinking that's who.
So is that going to be? You thinking that's going to be the champ right there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what most people. That's what most people are thinking. And so like I'm okay with holding Gene because he's going to end up in New York. If he doesn't end up, either by the end of this or the beginning of his movie or whatever movie he's going to be in, he's going to end up in New York because New York is the nexus for all Marvel events. So he's going to end up in New York. Someone's been before, and I think that's the time to actually and like bring in all the diner people and everything and all like that. But from right now, I think the biggest person they need to introduce next is his pilot, that guy, the guy that takes him everywhere. Because first of all, how is he getting to these places? That's the question we need to know. How is he getting to these places? Because he apparently be around the world, and while Steven's asleep, how is he getting there? And that question hasn't been answered yet because he's not walking, so he has to be getting there somehow.
It just depends on how they decide to do it. If they're going to make this a real Egypt thing, or is it going to be like a
New Egypt?
Like, well, in 2000 in the 2016 run that we read or whatever. Remember, he's in the hospital, but then once he puts the mask on, he can see reality. And reality, they were in this sand spiritual place. So maybe that's the way they're going with it. He's not actually flying somewhere. He's actually seeing it through the eyes of what Khonshu wants him to see it as. And the actual reality is they've been here the entire time. They were never in a museum area type thing or whatever. So we still don't know if that's the route they're going because we're still on episode 2. I'm wondering.
It could go anywhere within that to see where we're going to see what episode 3 and 4. But before we continue with the character breakdown, because I see that we're trying to transition to it, I was going to add one last thing about the camera work. Because one thing I hate with film and plus television, I hate it when they milk you the dialogue. Oh, this person's a bad guy nerd, right? But in this episode, the camera work is what show us that these 2 FBI agents or I think cops were part of the cult.
That's Billy and Bobby.
Because they showed the balance on their arm or on the wrist.
Yeah, the scale.
So the scale. So I love how in this episode the camera is what showed us that these people are parted with Ethan Hawke character. I'm like, cool. So that's one thing that I appreciate when the camera work shows us as the whole character. Like, okay, it's telling us the audience that, and also it's telling Steven as well. So it's telling Steven and also the audience that, he is looking that these people also have the scale. So these people should not be trusted. So that's one thing that I appreciate about the camera work for that purpose. So it shows that they don't need to talk about it. They show it with the camera work. So that's something that I appreciate very much. But anything else you guys want to add about the production side?
No. I was about to say, when you just brought up those 2 detectives, I guess it's not production side, but when you just brought up those 2 detectives, do you think that's Billy and Bobby? Well, Billy and Bobby are the Anubis like jackals that worked with the fucking villain in the comics or whatever. So they're like the henchmen. And
It
I'm
could
wondering
it
if that's
could
Billy and Bobby.
potentially, but I
don't
wouldn't
think so.
agree to it until we see episode 3 of how much of the Egyptian lore and how much of the avatars we're gonna get. Because from what we saw in episode 1, with the Thor lore and with the Wakanda lore that we're getting more of, if we see more of the avatars being talked about, then I will agree to that, Steve. But right now, at the moment, I cannot say yes or no. Once next week, if you ask me that question one more time next week, then I will have a better answer.
Okay.
I kind of disagree. Yeah, I could be wrong. Could be wrong. I disagree only for the fact that I think with the way that they're presented and with the purpose of the show. At the end of the day, even though these shows will fill in holes for movies, right? They still know the main section of their audience is going to watch these, right? And this is in some ways an intro for people before the movie or he's in another movie comes out, right? Like even with WandaVision coming out, they're still going to heavily show us some stuff from WandaVision, more than likely, to get people who haven't watched the show to get caught up a little bit, not a lot, not gonna show the whole show. Like when they show Billy and the kids, they're gonna show probably flashbacks or something of WandaVision to get people to go and watch that. But two, even with the main villain, remember in the comics was a minor villain. They made him a main villain for this series to give us an introduction to the world of Egypt and to Moon Knight. So I don't think we'll get characters that are super integral to his story. I think like they're staying away from Bushmaster right now because of Luke Cage, but we'll have to see by the end of the series if they're going to continue that or not. But I feel like this is like I feel like this is the same as like Hawkeye. Hawkeye is like we got really interested in new Hawkeye and everything like that. They didn't really do anything too major. They gave us Kingpin, which is fucking awesome, but we're not going to see the real Kingpin until Spider-Man or a Daredevil movie, one of the two, right? So like that's what I think the most we'll get when it comes to big villains. I think we will see more of the avatars because again they're building the lore and showing us what will happen in the future. But right now I'm still thinking they're gonna keep as much as they can close to their vest. So as soon as this is over, we get Moon Knight movie. Oh, Moon Knight movie in 3 years. Oh.
I would love that.
Well, I don't care for Moon Knight film. I care for in Midnight Suns. That's what I want. Moon Knight with Blade and technically Morbius is supposed to be part of that team and Punisher too, but I don't know what the.
Don't say Morbius. Don't say Morbius.
Like I said, Aaron. I don't know what's gonna happen. All I'm just saying, I just want a Midnight Sun, and if Marvel or Sony could work something out and have, I don't know. I just want a Midnight Sun. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't know.
I want people to stop paying Jared Leto. I want people to stop paying Jared Leto for like a year and then come back to it.
But let's jump straight into our character breakdown section. Oscar Isaac. I would like to go first talking about Steven. Because Steven, not Steve as the co-host, Steven. You know the fuck out of me this episode. Like, my boy, I get it. You're having a panic attack. I get it. You don't know what's going on. You have questions. You just find out that you have a wife. You're married. You just find out things are not going the way you want. You just got fired. And you just saw yourself in the camera. You went to find a storage. There's a whole passport. You're going insane. But my dude, you going to the cops and you just not like you literally had a whole bag and the gun and the passport while cops came in. Like, think. Like, I get it. You're not in the right mindset to think correctly. But like, you're making the whole situation worse for yourself and worse for the people around you right now. And yes, there's no people around you right now other than the people that's coming back to your life, aka your wife and everything. But like listen to the guy in your head, like Mark. He's dead ass telling you you're going too much into this. You're coming out of your depth into this, and I feel like there are times, there's moments, but I feel like it's the point of the episode, is the point for us to get annoyed by Steven, because it's like there's some moments where like I had to like rip my hair off a bit, like yo Steven, the fuck you doing, my guy? Like, you're making the situation worse on yourself. And I feel like that was the point of his character, but at the same time, I just want to go there, like give him a hug, bolsters and smack him in the head.
Yeah.
Like, yo, my dude, get shit right. Like, all right, cool. Have your panic attack, have your anxiety, have your mental breakdown. I get it. I have never been there, but I could understand your situation. But at the same time, analyze the situation before you make it worse on yourself, where you literally are jumping away from a hound dog and you literally jump and ask yourself a suit and you become Mr. Knight, which, by the way, I love the suit as well. Steven, you look so good in that suit, where it's like, damn, white looks good. Like, all white? And I think that's off-white looks amazing. So, for Steven as a character in this episode, he annoyed the fuck out of me, but I think that was the goal of this episode for his character. And to jump to what everyone was speaking about much earlier is about Steven and Mark interaction. I love the most when Mark was getting annoyed by Steven, saying at the end when Mark was just he was kicking the mirror, like I think like a good 10 times because annoyed. So I wish we got more of that, and I hope we get more of that in the next couple episodes of what we have seen in the comics of how their other alter type of personalities fight each other for who hosts the body. I can't wait to see that in the next future episodes, because this ending of episode 2, seeing Mark get annoyed by Steven, and even Steven now being on the flip side on the reflection and telling him, so this is how it feels, now see what you're doing. I love the interaction, so I can't wait to see more of that. So that's my thoughts on Mark and Steven in this episode, and I enjoy very much.
So I think that was done on purpose, obviously, because in the first episode they allude to it. The idiot's back. This guy's a dummy, blah, blah, blah. Like they're already alluding to that's who this character is. And then on top of that, you have to remember that they are telling the perspective. That's the first person that we were introduced to with Steven. But Mark this is Mark's body. So they had to pass the torch, and a way that they can pass the torch and make you not really be like, oh man, bring Steven back, is by making him annoying. You know what I'm saying? And as you hear throughout this episode, Lily tells him, like, you know what I'm saying, you made another personality, et cetera, because it's a British accent. Well, he's only been in, you know what I'm saying, in London for, however long. So this dude is still new. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a new personality. So it's like, it's a new thing that he's developed, and he's like kind of doing it. And you're seeing the story and the perspective from him in the beginning, but this is Mark's story for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is really Mark's story. And I like the fact that they transitioned, and now we're kind of like, okay, now we're getting to the bread and butter, more of the seriousness in the sense of like how these stakes really are, because now we're gonna hear more deeper into everything that's going on, because Mark has been dealing with this forever, however long, you know what I'm saying? So he knows, he's been the warrior side of this. So just seeing it from his perspective and how it's going to take off, because everybody is saying episode 4 is the episode, like that's that's the hypest episode of the show, is what everybody is saying. So I'm excited to see that.
For me, I would say this episode is more about balance. And I think, and it's shown a lot when we get to two parts. I think that are the most important part that are shown about balance. That is when he's fighting the jackal and he gives that punch, and Mark's like, no, that was a good punch. That was good. And it's that idea that they have to complement each other to work, to exist. They have to complement each other. And so I think that's why we're going to get more Mark. Well, one, he's the main personality. We're going to get more about why Steven starting out made sense, because Steven is this erratic person. I wouldn't be surprised if we get an episode full of just Jake on like episode 5 or 6. It's just Jake, because I feel like it's the idea that they have to find balance within themselves to make it work. Like, even with the Mr. Knight personality not being who we expect him to be at first, it's because Steven doesn't trust Mark. He doesn't trust Mark to make right decisions. But once he trusts Mark, now we can get a proper Moon Knight who's there to talk to the people and investigate outside of being Moon Knight. And so like that's what. So even at the end, I think neither of them trust or balance are in balance with each other. And that's why we have that part. We have the entire episode where Steven is rejecting Mark. And then we have the part where Mark gets so angry and annoyed with him that he kicks out the mirror. It's that they don't understand that they have to work together to make this life work. Because Mark, remember, Steven wants to live his life. Mark wants to disappear because he wants to finish what he's doing with Khonshu and then move on. And so he doesn't take Lily. He wants to move on, but Khonshu's not giving him up, and Steven's not getting his life back. And neither of them have come to terms with that yet. So I think by the end of the show, they come to terms with it, and we have a more balanced pair. And I think that's what this episode is about. Episode was about how they are not in balance as multiple personalities. And also, they haven't asked the question yet, does another one exist? And I think that's where we're going to get this little train locker, door lock, an email, note, something that's going to allude to another personality, and they're going to be like, "Yo, what the fuck?"
So
they've already told us.
I said it, and Steve said it. Me and Steve were on the same boat last week because how's it that you have a coworker? All right, cool. My name at work is Miguel because that's my real name, or Vash. So I have two names. So people call me Miguel or Vash, but people don't call me Miguel and then Michael because that's not my name. Yeah, it is in English, but people know me as Miguel. But how do you go from Steven to Scotty when the security guard is literally calling you Scotty in the first episode and the second episode more than once? So it really makes you question, like, is he calling him Scotty to be a dick, like just to throw jabs at him? Or is he actually calling Scotty because that's what the security guard actually thinks his name is? So I feel like more on the nose now from knowing that Mark is married. Steven don't ever recall asking out the girl, so it has to be a third personality. It could be Scotty, the one that asked the one that asked this girl out to have some steak, because or Jake too. But it just really makes you question that because Steven never asked him, "Hey, why are you calling me Scotty?" He just keeps correcting him like, "Hey, my name is Steven." Yeah. So it really makes you question, like, does he know that his name is actually Scotty or not? So I am on the fence that I feel like the third person has to be the name Scotty, and I feel like we're gonna be seeing said character third or fourth episode. And if not, this is just maybe a red herring, and maybe the writers are just trying to throw us off and not pay attention to other dialogue that's happening in the episode. Just because we hear Scotty, we feel like it could be a third character. So who knows?
Right.
I really think that they've already told us that there's a third character. I mean, because the fact that what we've pointed out already, the date. So there's a third character, or a third personality, and it's already been introduced. We just haven't, touched on it yet. And another reason why I feel like that there's another personality is because Khonshu in the first episode calls Steven the idiot. He says, "Bring Mark back." You know what I'm saying? But he said, "Oh, great, the idiot's back." So it's not like it's more personalities, because if it was Mark and then just Steven came back, he'd be like, "Oh, okay." But he kind of like knew it kind of alluded to, like, he knows that there's other personalities that's been in the light, in a sense, you know what I'm saying, that's taken over the body. And he realized, oh, it's the idiot this time. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like those little things like that, those little play on words, those small little details have already alluded to the fact that those
I don't know if that's a reach or not, but okay.
I'm feeling that.
How do you feel about it, Aaron? Like, are you on the fence that you want the J character, or do you feel like they're gonna take their own route within the show and the MCU of like how they do with Layla? Because Layla in this show, she's a new character, but she's combined from other characters in the comics into a whole in their own version. Do you feel like they're making the same thing with Jake and doing it, trying to switch over Scotty, or how do you feel?
I believe we'll get Jake at some point. I think so how I feel about it is, even with every Marvel character, there has to be some parts of it that stays from the comics. That has to be. And with Moon Knight, the reason why they're able to do all this wild and wacky stuff is because he's had like 6 different writers who have written them differently each time. So like each time they can really get really wild and wacky with what they want to do and how they want to write Moon Knight. So that's why but through each iteration, at some point we get Jake and Steven. And I again, with them starting with Steven, I just feel like we'll get Jake down the line. I don't feel like, because I feel like Jake doesn't, even if we had him now, what would he do?
Yeah, he doesn't bring anything to the story.
Yeah, he doesn't bring anything to the story at this point. But if we get more characters, we get the black guy who's Mark's friend that was a mercenary with him, that was his private plane guy, whatever. We get, I think he was black, but we get that guy. We get him. We get once we start building up the repertoire of people that he has, then now it makes sense for Jake, because Jake's an information gatherer. He's an information gatherer. Now it makes sense, because right now Moon Knight isn't doing that, because the balance. Once Mark accepts that he cannot be anything else besides Moon Knight, then that's when he needs Jake. He doesn't need Jake right now. He doesn't need Jake.
And in that first episode, you go through the crawl log, and it's a bunch of Laylas, and then there's that one call to Deschamps.
Yeah.
Duchamp, or I don't know how to pronounce it. Yeah. I'm just saying how I read it. I'm thinking it's Deschamps or something like that. Him and Jake communicate a lot.
Yeah.
That ego. They communicate a lot. He communicates more with that ego than the other alter egos as well. So I feel like that phone call could have been from Jake, because he hasn't been. I call it the light because I've seen what's it called? Doom Patrol. They call it the light.
Oh yeah, the light.
So that's why I keep calling it the light. But when he hasn't been in control that often. You know what I'm saying? And when he was in control, he made that phone call. He made a little date. So that's another reason why I feel like there's definitely a third personality. Because
no doubts. Go ahead.
And they casually scroll by it too. It's like Layla, Duchamp, Layla. And I'm just like, I see how they tried to like do that real quick. So yeah.
So I just feel like, again, I feel like it just takes them going to the right place for it. And once they get to that location, that's when we'll find Jake. That's how I feel about it. I just feel like we're not there in the story yet for him to pop up.
Who knows? Next episode could be it, or episode 4, because it all leads back to Egypt. So who knows? It could be that's where we see him again.
I'm feeling 5 or 6. I'm feeling that's like a conclusion, because I just feel like I just don't think he's going back to London. I think once we leave London, we're not going back per se to stay. That's just how I feel, because by the end of this series, they have to come to terms with each other. And then once they kind of come to terms, it just makes the most sense to bring in another curveball, which is this dude named Jake, who's apparently been telling them shit the entire time. And I would love if they made his third personality just like somebody who's been orchestrating a lot of shit they just didn't know. He's been orchestrating all this shit the whole time. Jake, like we'll see him standing in front of 2 mirrors, and it'll be Jake like, took y'all long enough, and they're like, yo, who the fuck is this? I was like, yeah, I've been doing this. Y'all did all that shit because of me. It was me. Like you know what I mean? I would love that. I think that would be kind of cool.
It was me from Jake from State Farm.
It's Jake from State Farm.
Well, like in the first episode, when the Jackal's about to break through the door, and all those mirrors are there, and there's mirrors inside of mirrors as the reflections keep going. Some of those reflections aren't, you know what I'm saying, talking. Like they're not like Mark is talking directly to Steven. And then there's some reflections that aren't
just
talking,
look.
And they're just looking, they're like standing there and they're looking around. Like if you really watch that scene, there's a lot of different like those mirror reflections are, a lot of them are doing a lot of different things.
So that's what I was going to transition to you guys about. So in the comics, Mr. Knight is when he works with the cops. So he doesn't have that full cape because he wants to look more to some type of civilized to the people he works with. But in this, I like it how Mr. Knight, and hopefully it's consistent that Mr. Knight is going to be Mr. Well, with Mr. It's going to be with Steven type of outfit. And then with Mark, he's the one that has the full cape, the full hood and everything. I prefer that because it shows us as the audience which is which personality and who is the Moon Knight version. And I like that because when Steven don't know how to use the certain powers of Moon Knight, aka of Khonshu yet, but he just thought of a suit, suit and tie. He thought, proper way to set dress up well, and he has some batons as well. So I felt like this was a great way to show us that okay, this is gonna be Steven's outfit in his type of version. How did you guys feel about that?
I love the fact that each personality has their own Moon Knight variation. And I'm wondering when we get Jake, will he get a different variation of the costume, or will he don the same thing? I thought it was hilarious that he came when he came out and he jumps in, he lands on the ground, he's in the costume or whatever. And
superhero landing.
Yeah, yep. The mirror reflection looks at him. He goes, "What the fuck are we wearing?" He said, "Y'all kept saying we needed a suit. I'm in a suit." And he's like, "That's not what the fuck we meant."
He's like, "No, you're the embody the Khonshu suit." He's like, "What the fuck am I supposed to know how that looks like?" Last time when you went on Mark, I was in the back. I wasn't looking, so I just put a suit in a suit.
Yeah, he's like, "This is a suit. You said a suit. This is the suit." It's like. He's like, you didn't say costume or nothing like that. You said suit. So that's what he was thinking. I thought that was hilarious because it's like the character Steven is so like kind of like innocent and like, you know what I'm saying, out of it and stuff like that. So he really doesn't understand. So he came up with a suit. I thought that was dope. Well, I thought that was cool how they played with that and made that work.
I agree. I think that's actually what we talk about favorite moments. That's my favorite moment because I think people want it to be more serious, more like, but like that's why I said that for me, it really brought on the part where like we're going to get that Moon Knight that is a detective, that isn't like that. But I think it just takes time, and that's people want like this to be. I want this to be my comic book Moon Knight now, today. I want it now, and it's like. That's not how growth and development works. You got to put a little work in to earn that moment. And with Steven having the suit, I think Steven is definitely they've already really made out Steven to be more personable than Mark in every way, shape, and form. Like he loves people, it's like that. Like, well, Mark is about duty. I'm doing this because I have a duty to Khonshu. And I think that's what's going to make it when we get to that part where he is Mr. Knight for the reason, like he's going to like Steven, like once they come to terms and Steven realize, you know what, maybe I can help you and I can help Layla. And by being Mr. Knight and talking to people because you're not good at that, Mark, you fucking suck at that. And that's how I feel like we're at the moment where he's like, Mark, you suck. Well, you suck at talking to people. I'm gonna do it. I feel like we're gonna get a moment like that where Steven just kind of like drops his balls a little bit. I can't fight, but I can talk to people better than you can. And I think that's where we get him transitioning into more of the Mr. Knight personality. Now, would Jake get his suit? I don't know.
They don't have a variation in the comic.
There's not really another variation for it. So like I don't know. I don't know how they're going to fit in that third personality with the suit or something like that. Because I mean, again, Mark's the fighter, so Jake's the information gatherer, and if anything, we could have Jake beat the person on the street. Yeah, Mark, Steven doing the investigation and saying that because he'll be the closest one to Mark, being like, I'll help you investigate and everything like that, while Mark is the enforcer. I mean, I could see it playing out more like that, but I'm not sure yet because Mark is the main personality at the end of the day. And I don't know if they're going to sacrifice that to play this ping pong with all the characters or not. So
yeah,
I'm just not totally sure how they're going to balance all three. I think, again, starting with Steven was good, but now we got Mark. And now we're going to like one episode is going to be a Steven episode. One episode is going to be a Mark episode. I feel like that kind of takes away from it. Like, so I don't know. I don't know how we're going to do it. Again, they have to come to terms and say, hey, you get the mornings, I get the nights. Right? Like, I think you might get something like that. But then where does Jake fit in? He gets the afternoons. I don't know. Like it's like where does he fit in? So
and even then, that still is weird because of the fact that at the end of the day, Steven thinks that he's from London. Like so you got the homesick and all the crazy shit that can go with that. He thinks that he got a mom. You got all sorts of things that's going on. So it's like it's a conflict of interest if you like. Well, I'll let you have days. So now he's gonna spend the day calling his mom, who's never gonna answer the phone, and things. Yeah, like it's a lot of different complications. I like the fact that you say balance and you've used balance a few times because the balance that they need, and then the skills that Ethan Hawke's character has. So it's like I like that balance and things like that. So that's pretty unique, and I never thought about it like that as far as that their the balance that they need as far as that. Yeah.
Which I think about Ethan Hawke's villain is like perfect for them because his whole thing is, will you be judged? And remember when he judges him, the thing goes crazy because there's chaos inside of you. I don't think he's talking about Khonshu. He's not talking about
the personalities.
Talking about the personalities. You guys, the personalities have no balance. You all take what you want and you don't give to each other, and that's why there's chaos inside of him. It's not because of Moon Knight.
And it's like, how can I judge you? Because some personalities are like Steven are super nice and et cetera, et cetera.
While Mark is a stone cold killer.
Yeah. So he's like, I can't even judge you. So
with that being the Moon Knight character of Steven and Mark overall, now we get the introduction of Layla. I'm about to say, damn, why are we speeding on here? With Layla in this episode, how do we feel about Layla introduction, finding out a bit of her and Mark backstory, her them being married, but then them being ready to divorce, but then us finding out why, because Khonshu has interest in her of being the next vessel. How do we feel about her as a character and being introduced?
I gotta see more of her. I don't think she had.
Was it the performance, or was it that you didn't get enough of her to give the cup of tea?
That's how I feel right now. Just because I can't really place her in the series. Like she's important, but to me, like they made her not. She's not a damsel in distress. She got hands. She can fight. Khonshu wants her for a reason, but at the same time, she kind of just. She's a backseat, like she's important, but she's a backseat character, and she's all she's there to do. And I don't mean like not to make the plot, but service the plot. So
I'm about to say because Gert got the confidence. Gert came through a whole say, "I got the scarab. What's up?" And literally came to her husband saying like, "Yo, turn to your suit, bitch. Turn to your suit. We need that suit right now. Turn to your suit." And started running. So I feel like I gotta give her props because Gert got the confidence because she didn't play the damsel in distress. Like girl came in. Girl knew what she was doing. She said, "Hey, let's start running. I know what I'm doing." And yes, they lost the scarab at the end, but girl held her on 2 feet. So I gotta give props to her on that.
I just want to see how much she is involved in the plot. I want to see how integral she is and what we're doing with her. That's what I want to see. That's my thought.
She's important to the plot, depending on which comic run we're, getting, or which for the interpretation or whatever. But she's important because she does know a lot of information, because she's lived a lot of life with Mark. So she has a lot of information. She has a lot of background and stuff like that with the scarabs and stuff like that. And it depends too if we're gonna get Amit, if we're gonna get like a humanoid version of Amit or whatever, the alligator, because if they bring that in, because that's who Ethan Hawke is like, praising and worshiping and following and stuff like that. So if they humanize that part, then it's a whole bag of worms that can go open, especially with Lily's character, because they use Amit. They use Lily as like bait and shit like that.
You know what?
Layla,
that kind of opens up the idea that, remember, Ethan Hawke is playing a minor character that's more than likely going to die at the end of the series. All right? All right. Khonshu wants Layla. What's to say Amit wouldn't want Layla too?
And Amit is a female character in the comics.
Who's to say that? Remember, he brags about being, her first vessel and stuff like that, only for near the end of the series, like episode 5, because I think depending on how they do it, that Amit says no, I want Layla. I was just using you to find the person I really wanted.
That could be the case, because that would probably what motivates Steven Mark more. And this is what maybe Khonshu is planning to actually protect Layla for Mark. Like that's just, maybe I am reaching within your theory, but it could actually work because with Khonshu, like you said in this episode, again with Ethan Hawke character, to also talk about him because it intertwines with Layla. Ethan Hawke brought up saying that he was his first vessel for Khonshu, and he also threw jabs to Khonshu saying that he acts like a big baby, where he cannot do much, and he's a man of the a fist of vengeance. Which, no lie, when he said that, it really made me wonder, why did Khonshu never chose the Punisher in the comics as his fist of vengeance? And like, this dude literally is a walking machine of fist of vengeance. Why didn't Khonshu ever find the Punisher as his fist of vengeance? Like, literally loves to murder. He has the skill sets as good as Mark. Why did he choose him either?
Hey,
he needed someone a little bit more mentally unstable.
Yeah.
He said, "You're crazy, but this nigga's insane."
or maybe Mark was it's because Mark actually traveled to Egypt and Punisher didn't, so maybe that's why he got the better.
That would be a great what if comic if they had like Punisher travel to Egypt to go kill somebody. And instead, he gets shot and he's bleeding on the statue, and then like his soul gets. That would be a great what if comic. What if he became Moon Knight? So
to add to where you say, remember in the comics, Mark dies and then gets reborn because of Khonshu, because the people that's with Mark kills him. Imagine in the what if story, the one that kills him is Punisher, but instead of bringing back Mark to life, Khonshu gets interest in Punisher because of how brutal he is. He's like, yo, you know what? I was going to bring this dude back to life. How about let me take control of you and let's, you be my fist of vengeance.
That is true. That is true because remember, he was a mercenary before he became Moon Knight. So maybe Punisher goes after him because he hears how ruthless he is as a mercenary. They fight within the temple. He shoots him. They shoot each other. Boom, boom, boom. Everybody's bleeding everywhere. Khonshu's like, well, this guy's kind of different. And so instead, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. That'd be a good what if story.
But going back to Ethan Hawke saying that he was the first vessel and everything, and that he acts like a baby because of the gods and everything. But from what we know in the comics, Khonshu is still not a bad person. He just has motives in a very twisted way. But out of the other gods like Amid and the other ones, he's the lesser evil. So it's very curious to see how Steven is going to understand where Khonshu comes from and understand him as a character that help the lesser evil destroy the more evil that you need to destroy, aka Amid and the other type of avatars. And I'm curious to see if Layla actually gets chained up to become the next avatar for Amir. That's an interesting thing, Aaron, because I would like to see how would Mark and Steven tackle that, knowing that now Steven knowing more about Mark's history, knowing about Layla, the marriage and everything else, and knowing that it's technically his fault that he technically brought her back into this whole mess. So I am really curious about that.
Yeah. And Ahmed manipulates Moon Knight a lot and things like that. So it's going to be interesting if they do go that route, because then it's like, you're my wife. You know what I'm saying? So
the manipulation it's already there. And plus with her, I'm pretty sure that, especially with everything with Steven and all that, I could definitely see her having that moment where she's like, well, Steven, Mark, I don't even know who you are anymore. And she's like, the suits, I'm going to stop you. And she end up getting corrupted by Ahmed instead of doing what she wanted. I can see it happening. It's cliche, but it would be done really well if they did it right. So, and that's another major. That's a major villain. That's
going to be a huge major villain. That's the reason. And that's the reason why I say Billy and Bobby, because Billy and Bobby work for Ahmed. You know what I'm saying? And I really feel like that good cop, bad cop thing that they were kind of doing when they showed up on Steven's doorsteps, that was Billy and Bobby all the way to me. They didn't necessarily say it, but I was like, bro, that is Billy and Bobby. I was so I really think that that's what it's going to be.
And I think that would also make Layla. But I think Layla, so far, is a good character. I just want to see her what she does. Is she with him in Egypt? You know, like we don't know yet.
We don't know. Yeah, you're right.
So,
we don't know. And Aaron, I was gonna ask you one more question. How do we feel about Khonshu and his design in the show? Do you like it? The bones and everything, the darkness.
It's the perfect amount of creepy. It's the perfect amount of creepy because it's like what I love about Egyptian gods in general, they kind of creepy motherfuckers. I'm gonna be real. Their designs have always been kind of a little creepy, and it's good because most of them are, they're associated with death. Like the gods, like in Egypt, like there are the light, sun, but they're all like in some ways form associated with some sort of death. And so with Khonshu being like the judgment that he is, I think they do a really good job with giving that feeling, that sense of, especially with everything, all the flickering of the lights and everything that goes on with him. I think they do a really good job with it. I really enjoy his design. I love the person who voice acts for him. I love that voice is silky smooth butter. Whoever is the voice for Khonshu is amazing. I think it's just petty enough. It's just petty enough. When he's talking to him while Ethan Hawke's talking to him, and he's like, I am the fist of justice. And Ethan's like, he just said he's the fist of justice, didn't he?
Yeah, I love that scene. It was great.
He's like, kill him. He's like, he told you to kill me.
Kill me, didn't he? He's like, yeah, this is it. And I love that because like Khonshu is in the comics, and it's also I love a petty god. All right, man, I love a petty god. I love a god who's like cares about himself and his goals first. Because and you're a god. You're not worried about these mortals.
And Abe is not you.
It's not you.
It's not you, Abe.
But I like what you said on that, Aaron. On that note, talking about him being a petty guy, like he acts like a baby, but it's because he is such a frustrated person because he has such a limited power. Since he cannot actually be within the Earth realm, he can only be sensed by his avatar, Mark, and everyone else. And talking about that I love how us as the audience, we could see what Mark sees, but everyone else do not see the whole hell dog, what's going on with the dark type of sorcery's powers that's going on there. It's only us as the audience see what Marcus sees, but Layla only sees what Moon Knight is just finding something in ghost form. But it's actually because he's actually finding something that nobody else could see. But it's because Khonshu gives him abilities to see what's going on. So that is something that's pretty dope with his character and with his power. So overall, guys, any last favorite moments that you guys have not mentioned throughout the show, throughout the episode that you guys want to bring up about your favorite your favorite moment overall?
My two favorite moments was the suit moments. I ain't gonna lie, man. I love a good suit. I ain't gonna fucking lie, man. As a
would
nerd,
you dress up as it?
Me a good suit, man. You said what?
Would you dress up as it? For Halloween or for a con?
I would dress up as Mr. Knight. Mr. Knight.
I wonder how many people are gonna be Mr. Knight this Halloween.
Right. I would just.
I would too.
That nigga cold. That fit is cold. Ooh. And I love it. I loved it because. People. I remember people talking about the Batman. The Batman had no comedy. I liked how dark the Batman had so much fucking comedy. The Batman had so much comedy, and I love how Moon Knight kind of has the same type of comedy. It's not slapstick. It's not one-liners. It's not any of that. It's situational, which is, in my opinion, best comedy. It's like he jumps down, falls to the ground after the superhero landing. What the fuck are we wearing? He's like, I don't know. Y'all said suit, and it fits the vibe of the show. Like it doesn't take you out of the show. Also, I love the Mr. Knight suit. I love the scene of him running across the rooftops and like being a superhero. I love that. Those are probably my two favorites. I mean, overall, I love the mystery of the episode. But if I had to like things that I'm gonna remember, it's those two moments.
And how about you, Steve? What was your favorite person as playing Steven and playing Mark? What was your favorite moment?
So my favorite moment is definitely Steven trying to leave the storage room and with the lights and stuff. I thought that shit was beautiful. I thought that was really well done. That's one of my favorite scenes in the episode. And then obviously the suit reveal with Mr. Knight. That's a given. But that episode when he was leaving the storage room, I thought that shit was beautiful. I also enjoyed like Khonshu in the background, even during the whole like dinner scene. And as that dinner scene is going on, it's weird how it was working because Steven is like a actor in the comics. He's like an actor, or he's not an actor, he's a director or producer or whatever. I thought that it was really cool how they did that dinner scene and they're having the conversation and everybody in the background is like watching the conversation and they're like it was like an audience with a laugh track is what it felt like because every now and then they kind of just laughed and things like that. And I was like, that's a good callback to the comic book because technically he's a producer, he's producing the show and things like that. I was like, that's a nice callback. I thought that was really cool because it was more so they were laughing at the comments that he was saying because they were timed pretty well. Like he would be when he would say stuff about like what Khonshu said, they would like laugh. You know what I'm saying? Like right on cue. So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, those are some of my favorite parts of the episode, really.
For me, my favorite part is what Evan brought up, like the whole Mr. Knight, because people understand not everything has to be slapstick comedy. There's all different types of comedy within any type of genre, anime, cartoons, live action, comedies. There's dark humor. There is any type of comedy you see, and I love how the MCU properties are trying out the different kind of comedy with the script, with the characters. So I can't wait to see what more throughout the next episodes with Egypt and the interaction between Mark and Steven brings up as comedy within themselves and within the suits. If we get the chance to see Steven try out with the hood and the cape and actually see how he feels within the suit. He's like, oh no, this is not my style. I'm gonna go back to my version, Mr. Knight. That would be nice to see that, oh, this feels too bloody to me, or or this feels too gruesome. I like to see those type of interaction to see about his character, because the way he felt and did his superhero landing is really entertaining. Because when he just asked himself, like, what are we wearing? Like, this was his first time to activate the suit, and he had to do it in an impulsive moment. And also the way that he speaks to Mark, saying like, hey, Steven, you need my help. You need my help to defeat this guy, this dog here. So I can't wait to see both of them to also work together more and understand each other, as much as that they might hate each other, that they both have their own type of character in the same body. So I can't wait to see those type of interactions more throughout the next 4 episodes.
And real quick before we end, I was just thinking about, I was imagining it, just in my
what's up
imaginative brain, that I can't wait till they kind of come to a piece, because I would love for, like, when they meet the Avengers, the new Avengers, and like the ones that are still alive now, we have like Steven and like, Mark and maybe Jake talking, and Mark's like, I'm gonna go talk to him, and Steven's like, no, I got it. So like, and then like they switch to the suit, and Steven's like, hey guys, hey, and then like, and they're like, what's, and like he's talking to himself, how that they do, like, what is wrong with this guy, whatever. And then they start to fight, and then Mark comes out, and they're like, he just changed his suit, and then Mark's whole mannerism changed, and this and I think that really works in those Avengers films, where we have that kind of comedy that can come only from Moon Knight, where he's like switching between personalities and suits, and they're like, what the hell is going on with this guy?
The two characters I can't wait for them to respond to that, to him changing his suit, is Deadpool and Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, yeah.
Because I know Spider-Man will be like, oh my God, he's changing suit. Oh my God, what's going on here? Wait, how do you go from Mr. Nice suit inside to Mr. Weird and capey, trying to kill people out here? We're the Avengers. We're good people. So I can't wait to see how his interactions will be with said characters, with Captain Marvel, with Doctor Strange. I'm curious to see if Doctor Strange will bring a, hey, I know a spell that can help your personality. Like, no. I heard you do spells with other characters out here, and you've been messing up shit more for them. I'm good with my 3-4 people in my mind right now.
Shit, what if Jake's the one who impersonates other people's characters?
So like a 4-4 break-in?
Like Jake is the New Yorker. Like, that one run of of Moon Knight where he takes Spider-Man and Captain America, Wolverine's powers, right? He emulates them or whatever. Mm-hmm. What if that's Jake? He's the New Yorker. He's the true New Yorker, right? And he's the one that instead of giving him a suit, he's the one that emulates their powers.
I can see that.
That would make sense. That would make sense.
I think Jake being a New Yorker, because we know we're gonna eventually come to New York. Jake being a New Yorker makes the most sense too, because of the fact that he's a taxi cab driver. There's so much stuff that points to him being the New Yorker. So I can see it.
Same here. So it'll be interesting takes. So with that and further ado, this concludes our breakdown of episode 2 with our thoughts overall. So guys, for those that are tuning in or have not, please write down your comments. What did you think of the episode? Tweet at us. Let us know your thoughts. If you have not seen the episode yet and you're just tuning in, let us know. Like, subscribe, do the whole shabam. But before we get out of the episode, Aaron, our guest, give us your plugs. Where can the good people find your monthly coverage of anime talk and anime news and everything else going in your brand?
So I am one of the main co-hosts of Black Anime, BLXXK Anime. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, podcasts. I mean, we Twitch. We everywhere. You need to consume some content. We here for you. We do monthly news. We do opinionated facts. Or we do video essays. We do fun type styles of videos. On our Twitch, we're playing video games. Right after this, supposed to be playing with Ashanti and Steve. We're gonna see if Ashanti's awake. I don't know if it's gonna happen with Ashanti. We gotta see if she's awake out in these streets. But we're gonna play some video games. We do that. I stream as much as I can on Twitch, usually late at night. I'm trying to start doing some earlier streams, but that's what we are. Black Anime, BLXXK Anime, the realest niggas in the game. Just letting y'all know.
Steve, our boy Scuba Steve, W swimming out here with the mermaids like Aquaman. What is your plugs out here?
I am Scuba Steve 1428 on all social media. You can follow me, follow the Blerd Mind Pod on Twitter and Instagram. And when you follow them, there's a Linktree. It'll take you to all 9 of us who are a part of the ItBob crew. It's got Twitches. People are Twitch streamers, YouTubers. They have their own YouTube channels. They have their own Twitch channels and do all sorts of crazy things on there. So yeah, I just say go to the Linktree, and that way you can follow everybody. But yeah, man, good to be here. This is a great episode.
I appreciate you guys for being here. Definitely go follow James, go follow Abe, and definitely go follow Ashanti, because she might be sleeping. She's not sleeping right now, but she might be sleeping on stream if she's not tired. So who knows what happens there. But you can definitely follow myself at Legendary Vash everywhere else on social media. I appreciate you guys for being here and watching, listening to the downloads episode. Don't forget, go review the podcast. We're on the C4SVillains on the C4S Spoilers Network. You can find our podcast there. Rate us, talk about us, tweet us, show us to your grandmother. We are entertaining. She will not fall asleep to us because she will be entertained by us. And everything else is down below for the links of the community of us, Anime Lately, Careful Spoilers, James, and for also an A podcast and everything else of the family that's connected to us. And I appreciate you guys for being here. We'll see you on the next one. And I won't say it because I know James will get mad at me. So I'm going to just here and kick out.
Peace.